Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
Hello, it's me, Metal Matt, and I'm back, and it's going to be a good one this week. We've got some really cool things to play, some new music from some great bands, and plenty of chat. Plenty of heavy metal, of course, because this is Metal Stream Radio. And this is the Metal Matt Show, which is here every week for you to tune in and enjoy and celebrate all things heavy metal. So, without any further ado, I'm here and I'm going to play you some great music. So, to start off, some metal news that recently hit the... everything hit the media is the new VENOM song. So I'm guessing they got an album dropping as well. But they've got this new track, and at first I thought it was an old track because the title was kind of a very similar to a reference to another song. Lay Down Your Souls, of course, is kind of a reference to black metal. Their main album, I think their first album, I believe, which kind of not only defined the genre by giving it the name black metal, but also a sound that had never been heard before, a very unique kind of brutal, evil, chaotic sound, back in the day, people either loved them or they hated them, they got a lot of hate back in the day, but they also were extremely successful, and that was kind of their USP, their unique selling point, the fact that they were kind of the noisiest, craziest thing around. And the thing is, though, they had great songs. They had a great guitar player in Mantis back in the day, and Abaddon on drums with quite a tribal, almost like very kind of a basic would be the wrong word, but kind of, in a way basic, but kind of a driving drum beat, quite primal, quite kind of, and that kind of really added to a lot of the songs. Like In League with Satan had a great drum thing on it, and he was a real sort of insane kind of drummer, just hammering it out kind of thing. And then of course you had Kronos, Conrad Lant on vocals. That was the original three-piece. They haven't been that lineup for many years. In fact, they've been a different lineup for longer than the original lineup ever lasted, but still those original albums, and songs are, I think, what's sticking a lot of fans of Venom's mind, songs like Black Metal, Countess Bathory, Bloodlust, so many great songs off those early albums. But it's great to see Venom are still doing music with a completely different lineup apart from Kronos. You've got the same voice, that kind of evil voice. Kronos is very unique and kind of distinctive voice, there's no one really who has a voice quite like him, and he's able to kind of take you to this place, and the lyrics are always kind of very black metal, always kind of fantastic lyrics with Venom, which I always loved. This song is called Lay Down Your Souls, kind of like lay down your souls to the gods, rock and roll, metal tenfold through the deadly black hole, riding on stallions, bareback and free, raw energy, something like that. That's some of the lyrics, which you may know from black metal. So, cool that they've kind of referenced black metal. And I saw a little interview thing with Kronos talking about, something. He was saying something along the lines of the song is quite serious, it's a killer song. But obviously they've kind of referenced something old to kind of bring it back to kind of what they're all about, and kind of reference something they've always been true to, of course, black metal. And, referencing that really key song is kind of a cool way to make things new, but whereas keeping the old kind of there as well. So it's quite a good reference, and it's a cool song. So I'm going to play that one for you now. Lay Down Your Souls, which I'm sure you can grab everywhere and stream everywhere. I'm sure it's out now everywhere, and look out for the album, because there must be a whole album dropping soon. If it hasn't already, but I don't think it has. I haven't seen much about an album yet. Just this new single, which I'm guessing is a little taster of what's to come. But still as killer as ever, as you'll hear. Like I say, it's not the original lineup, only Kronos on vocals, but they got a great sound nonetheless. They sort of got a different sound to the original Venom, but very kind of a lot more produced the sound now, which is kind of their thing, was not being overly produced and overly kind of, having a rawness was kind of what Venom always was in the day. And obviously they've evolved into what I guess every band kind of has to do over time, and not commercial per se, but like definitely not commercial in the sense of pop music, but the production is a bit more slick, slicker, and it's kind of what you want to hear these days, I guess. Is production wise, you don't want to be hearing it too raw. I don't think these days it's it's nice to hear these great the great voice of Kronos and great musicianship, in the best way possible, I guess. There's different ways to look at it. I love the rawness, but maybe that had its time. And it's good to hear Venom with a bit of production now, and still killing it. Still a great band, even with different members and stuff. But the songs are what it all matters. We all love that original lineup, but it's all about the songs. And I think this is a rather cool one. So have a listen to "Lay Down Your Soul." And there we have it, very reminiscent of the early Venom there. In fact, more reminiscent than a lot of the albums they've done formerly, because there's been so many Venom albums since the original lineup that it's always cool to see what they're doing these days and if they take any different directions. But this is the first time I've seen Kronos kind of go back to his roots more so. I think some of the other albums maybe were kind of a bit more of a leap, like his solo albums. He had a great solo album. I think it was just titled Kronos. That was back probably in the 90s or something. And they had this great song, Babylon and Vampire. Fantastic album, and kind of had a similar feel, I'd say, Venom, without the original lineup, with just Kronos on vocals. Kind of over the years, they had kind of more of that sound, I'd say more of his solo music sound. But this is kind of a step back to what they were. And there is a band that keeps being referenced actually on that song, and I'm going to try and find it because I've seen it in a few comments. I can't remember, but a lot of people have been saying, oh, they must have been inspired by so-and-so band. Maybe you'll hear the reference, but if you know, but I'm not sure who it was they were referencing. I'm going to check the comments, but they got some good comments. They're going by, the fans are really loving it. They got, I remember hearing Venom for the first time in 1984, my friend's room in high school. Never heard nothing like it before. Now I'm 60. What the fluke? There we go. That's a great guy. I mean, my dad, this was his band. My dad loved Venom, and that's kind of how I got into it, because I heard a lot of the stuff he loved when I was growing up, like Alice Cooper, and I got mad into Alice Cooper, and then I kind of found Judas Priest. My dad showed me a couple of Judas Priest songs, and we kind of got into Judas Priest together. My dad never really gave it much of a go when he was growing up. He heard a few songs, and then, in my teenage years, we both got really into Priest. He knew a few songs, obviously. He showed me Breaking the Law and Johnny Be Good, I think, was my kind of introduction as a kid to Judas Priest. And then when I got old enough, I was like, I want an album for Christmas, get me some Judas Priest albums. And I think my mum got me Nostradamus, which is an album not that many fans like, but I loved it because it was like my introduction to Priest, and it had a bit of an Alice Cooper feel on songs like Death. Yeah, that kind of made me think, oh, maybe it's a bit like Alice. But then I discovered Rob hits these amazing high notes and stuff, and I was like, this is crazy. It's like Alice, but on steroids or something. The song Death, anyway, there isn't much similarity to Priest and Alice, but that one song Death was kind of a good gateway from Alice to Priest. Obviously I still love Alice, but good way of me kind of giving Priest a chance in the early days, because I hadn't really heard anything like Priest. And when I heard Rob first hitting those big high notes, I was like, wow, that's crazy. So Nostradamus will always have a special place in my heart. And I think I got Screaming for Vengeance as well, and that was my first albums, and that was just fantastic. I thought, wow, this is just amazing music, So that's how I got into Priest. So that's nice hearing that guy's comment here. Someone said we got Black Metal 2 before GTA. GTA, I don't know, 8 or something. They put it in old numeral numbers or whatever. I don't know how to read that. But yeah, you got New Venom before Grand Theft Auto. Someone said, lay down your souls to the gods, rock and roll. That's another thing. That's such a great line. It's cool they were able to take that from black metal and put it into a new song, because obviously black metal is, the chorus, I guess, but they've also got those key bits that stand out, like lay down your souls to the gods, rock and roll. And that's good they could take that for another song, because it is good enough for a chorus for another song, so why not? And it also references that early stuff, Here we go. Someone said, this is what I expect from bands' new albums. Anger, speed, and style. I'm proud to be a Venom fan. Kronos kicks ass. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He definitely is still killing it. Someone said, now this is what I expect from Venom. See, I think a lot of fans are kind of pleasantly surprised, because like I say, I on first hearing, I can hear, there's that very raw kind of vibe. Even though I was saying it's a bit more commercially produced, it's not so much actually this song. It's got the good production, but there's definitely a rawness as well, which is kind of nice to hear, But yeah, it's funny, I'm not finding the comments now, but when I was reading the comments before, everyone was saying, oh, this sounds like something else, Someone said, one last banger from Venom before the apocalypse. Perfect. Yeah, they might be right there. The world is going a little crazy right now. But at least we got the music to help get us through, Someone said, welcome back, Venom. Kronos putting 20-year-old metal dudes to shame. Yeah, he's definitely killing it. Kronos still got that voice. They finally decided to make good music since Resurrection. There you go. I think not all Venom fans were on board with the kind of newer sound of Venom. But I think, yeah, it's great that 2026 has brought a kind of, brought them back to what they are and what the fans want, kind of thing. But yeah, there was another band people kept referencing, saying, oh, they must have been inspired by this band, because it sounds really like this band, but I can't find what band that is. Sorry guys, I'm trying my best here in the comments, but no, everyone's kind of just saying what I thought myself is very much true to Venom, that song. And here we go, some serious energy, strong Motorhead vibes. There you go. I haven't heard that one before, but yeah, there is a bit of a Motorhead vibe. You've got this new album is Black Metal 2.0, and I like it. We need the old Venom, golden age in 80s back again. There you go. So yeah, people are loving that kind of 80s reference, because yeah, there was so much good music coming out of the 80s. I think, here we go, someone said I had given up on new music, but this and the new creator heard me and delivered. There you go. I think a few bands are taking different directions. The beauty of simplicity, someone said. Nice to hear the drummer using a hi-hat finally. Someone else said, sounds like old Motorhead. So yeah, most people are referencing the old school sound, like I did. That's what I thought, but I definitely remember reading a few comments when I first saw about this new song, where people were like, oh, they must have taken inspiration from this band. And it's a band I hadn't heard of, so I was assuming it was like a newer band, maybe like a, not an old school band. But yeah, I can definitely see the Motorhead reference, and I can see, quite a few references. And I thought I'd take you back to the 80s. Let's go back. I know it's difficult, but you can join me. Here on Metal Stream Radio, we actually have a time machine, and it is called Your Ears. So just crank up your ears now. Put it right into the right zone. There we go. You're tuning in. Right, we're going to take you back to the 80s now with Venom, Buried Alive. So you can hear the original lineup and kind of compare it somewhat. This is a song I love called Buried Alive, and it's really creepy and really scary. You'll hear why if you listen to the lyrics. Yeah, it's great. So here's Buried Alive.
We are brought forth unto this world with nothing, and with nothing we depart. So I commend this body to the ground with loving remembrance. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Just a dream. Summon the dead. Baphomet's call. Blood on my hands.
we go. There's a bit of a Venom there, the early Venom, Buried Alive off the black metal album, and yeah, it ended a bit abruptly there because it goes into the next song. It goes into the next one. It's a great album. You wanna just play it in full and just enjoy the ride. It's a great kind of almost like a story. You know, it's. Yeah, fantastic. And the songs really lead into each other. So yeah, that's Buried Alive. That's one I always loved. And yeah.
I'm lying in silk. Take the lid off this box.
I mean, what a great lyric, you know. So so vivid, and you know, they really take you to what they're singing about, you know. And yeah, brilliant lyrics and great song, you know. That one's not even one of the most heavy ones, really. I guess that's as close as Venom gets to a ballad, you know. But it's a crazy one, and yeah, I love it. I love that one, and yeah, it's cool to hear it after hearing that new Venom song, and you know, you can hear Venom's voice, Kronos' voice is very much kind of similar. Still, and kind of the vibe is still there, which is great. So it's great they're still making great music, but obviously the newer stuff is lacking. Mantis's great guitar sound, which you can hear on that Buried Alive, with he's got such a unique guitar sound, and his playing is really cool. You know, I've interviewed Mantis and, you know, chatted with him a lot, and he's a really cool guy, and he always said his guitar solos he wanted to add to the songs. He wasn't someone to just noodle away and do some crazy stuff. It had to be in keeping with the song, you know, and that's a great example. That solo is just awesome, you know. So yeah, fantastic. So that's our little bit of Venom to start the show, and we got lots more in the show coming up. And I thought I'd go to some metal news because obviously there's a lot going on at the moment, and in metal, you know, there's so many bands releasing albums and, you know, all sorts of stuff. So I thought I'd read out a few headlines. We'll see what we've got going on in the metal world. Marilyn Manson has announced a 2-night Antichrist Superstar anniversary residency in Los Angeles. So I think he's doing a couple of shows celebrating that album. It's the 30th anniversary, I believe, of the Antichrist Superstar album. So that'd be cool for any fans who love that album. You know, I'm a fan of Marilyn Manson's stuff. I haven't listened to that much of that album. I'm sure I know a few songs off there because I think the first album I got on Manson was like a compilation. I think I did with Priest, actually, thinking back. I think maybe I got a compilation plus Nostradamus and Scream for Vengeance. And those compilation albums, although it's easy to knock them, sometimes they're quite good, actually. They're good for just sticking on in the car and getting the best of a band, you know. All the good songs, all the hits, all the kind of classics. And yeah, I remember having a Marilyn Manson album. I think it was called Lest We Forget or something, and that was how I got into Manson. So I kind of enjoyed that, and then I had Mechanical Animals, which is an album I really loved, and I didn't get that many other Marilyn Manson albums. Actually, I've just heard, you know, a lot of the songs, and, you know, so my mind doesn't naturally connect to the albums like it might with bands like Judas Priest and Alice Cooper. That's a different thing. I know what albums everything's off and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, Manson's one of those people, I really do like his music. I wouldn't go out my way to buy every single album, but I love, you know, most of what he's done. I had one of his DVDs, Guns, God and Government, which was just incredible live performance with John Five, the fantastic John Five on guitar, who also did some stuff with Rob Halford. If you know, you know, the Two band. Rob did this little project called Two back in the day. Back in the 90s, just after he'd come out as gay, and he kind of was doing that band at that time. So that was his band during that period too, which didn't last very long, but it was kind of an industrial thing. And yeah, they were pretty cool. Fight was a lot better, and obviously his Halford solo stuff was great as well. But Fight, I think, was the supreme, you know, great band. But yeah, John Five, fantastic guitar player, and I love what he did with Manson, and watching that Guns, God and Government full performance, the whole concert, it's just an insane metal performance, and Manson's voice is just, his screech is just insane. That I don't know how he does it. I mean, I do a lot of tutorial things, and I used to think it was like Fry, you know. Do you love your God, government? Do you love your God? Which is one way of doing it, but he has so much power behind it. I think is some some kind of chest voice thing as well. I think he's, you know, do you love your gun? Guns, the government, yeah. He kind of maybe mixes it a bit and puts a lot of power behind it, which is pretty exhausting doing that kind of thing. Like Manson does. I don't know how he does it. I mean, he doesn't seem to do as much now, but he's looking a lot better and kind of healthier now. He's sober and stuff, and you know, I think he's got a great voice now from what I've heard. I don't think he's as big a screamer maybe as back in the day, but his screams are still pretty damn good. Probably better than they were a few years ago, and he's still got that great depthness to his voice, that deep kind of, you know, sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? You know, that kind of sleazy thing. You know, he's still got all that, and a fantastic voice at the moment. But watching that concert, like I say, was insane. I mean, you just, whether you're a Manson fan or not, I recommend watching it just for how crazy his voice is, you know. And the music's fantastic too. I love that they've got the keyboards, and, you know, there's a bit of Bowie in there as well. You know, you feel that Bowie influence and things, which is very cool. Right, and now on to some other metal news. We've got Randy Blythe of Lamb of God says to the people who say to keep politics out of music, "Go F yourself," is his quote. So he thinks it's good to put politics in music. You know, I don't know. I think it is, depending on the artist. I think it depends, you know, depends what politics as well, you know. I mean, it's a hard one. I think sometimes politics can make you go off someone, off a performer or whatever, and then you think, well, do you need to hear their political view? Is it really that important? You know, it's about the art. Whatever they're doing is, you know, about the art. I kind of like with bands like Judas Priest, and, you know, it's all about the music. You don't know too much about them, and somehow that kind of keeps a mystery there. If you started knowing which way they vote and all this stuff, you think, oh, you know, they're just human, like everyone else. You know, I don't vote because, in the words of George Carlin, you know, people say, oh, if you don't vote, you're part of the problem. But really, if you do vote, you're part of the problem, because I, who didn't vote in these incompetent leaders, you know, whereas you, on the other hand, you know, you did. So, yeah, I think for me, I feel voting is, you know, if you don't agree and you don't feel there's a spectrum enough where two parties, you know, you got two parties basically to choose from, you know, what a choice, you know. It's not really a choice, is it? It's a very small choice, and you have to go one way, left or right or whatever. So, you know, for me, my political stance is F politics, really, you know. So as much as Randy Blythe says, go something yourself, if you do want to keep politics out of music, I'm kind of like, well, depends. For me, if you're stating that you don't care about any of them, you know, and it's you don't buy into the system, I think that's a good stance to take. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, I guess, for some people to keep politics out of music, because music is about expressing yourself. It's kind of about having no bounds. So I guess I would say, do what you want is really the message. You want to talk about politics, talk about politics. If you don't, you don't, and it's all good, you know. I think you don't have to bring politics into things, you know. And I think music is about freedom and feeling free and all this kind of stuff. But it's also about rebellion, and it's also about talking about issues, you know, that are close to your heart and may be close to other people's hearts. And, you know, sometimes it's about being on the same wavelength as people who are like you. So, you know, it's good to express whatever you think, I think, and there shouldn't be any limits. There shouldn't be any censorship on music. There shouldn't really be any little stickers saying, you know, this is explicit or this is this or that. You know, music kind of should be free from anything like that. I think it should be just taken for what it is. It's an expression. It doesn't have to be telling you the truth or telling you anything, but sometimes it might have little truths in there, and you can kind of take what you want from it, you know. It all kind of goes back to like the subliminal message trial that Judas Priest went through, and then you had Twisted Sister doing something as well back in the day where, you know, talking about censorship in music, and it all kind of goes back to that, where I think, you know, it shouldn't really be there. You know, music, for some reason, it should be obvious. I think, I don't know exactly why, but it's obvious to me that music should be just free of any real criticism, because it's kind of each to your own. Some music you love, some music you hate, and it's an expression, it's an art form. It's like a painting. You wouldn't stick this is explicit sticker on a painting, you know, Da Vinci or Van Gogh or whatever. If it's a bit graphic or if it's a bit crazy, the Dali painting or whatever, you wouldn't say, you know, there's too many clocks, you know, or whatever. You know, it's just like, it is what it is. It is an expression. You take it for what it is, you know. And, you know, it's same with music, I think, any kind of real art form. Don't know about movies. Movies are a bit different. Although they are an art form, they're not always that artistic. It's more of a story, you know. But music has that special something which I think should be free of censorship and control. So, yeah, I get where Randy's coming from. And I also don't. So, you know. But that is our freedom of speech. That's our freedom to think and do as we please, you know. Within reason, I guess. But yeah, I get him. I get where he's coming from. Depends on the music. I mean, he always looks very angry when he's singing, so I think you got to be angry about something if you're going to be angry. If you're fake and you're not yelling about stuff that means something to you, then it's all a bit fake. So yeah, I mean, if that's what gets him going, politics, maybe that's what he needs to do to keep the realness to the music, you know. So there we go. Let's see what else we got. Whitechapel announces 2027 European tour with Silicosis and 200 stab wounds and tribal gays. God, where do they come up with these these band names? I think people are running out of ideas with band names now. I mean, Whitechapel, that sounds boring to me. Silicosis, having trouble pronouncing that one. 200 stab wounds, I mean, that's just weird. Horrible name. And tribal gays. But that's the thing, I think if it's metal, sometimes people are like, what's metal? Stab wounds and, you know, tribal gays, maybe. Don't know about Whitechapel. I always remember the Ricky Gervais show, Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington. They were talking about band names, and they were sort of taking the mick out of a lot of band names, like new band names, and saying you can tell which bands are going to be famous or popular just by the band name. They said you've got to imagine you're announcing it, you know, and be like, you know, doesn't matter what band, if it's metal or whatever, but just you can tell by the title if they're going to be successful, you know. So Tears for Fears, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, and I don't know if it works for these. Whitechapel, Silicosis, 200 stab wounds, tribal gays. Maybe tribal gays is the best out of that one. You know, Venom. What else is there? Gorgoroth. Yeah, you can tell the ones that have got good names, you know, and then you got some weird names, you know, which I can't even think of any weird ones right now. You'll have to help me, guys. Write into the Metal Stream Radio and let me know some weird band names for next week, and I'll read them out in that voice. Or let me know some band names you're thinking of, and I'll see if I can do the special announcement voice and see if it works. Anyway, on to some other metal news, some rather sad news, which I think we all have seen. You know, Twisted Sister were kind of announcing all these tours and like a big anniversary final show kind of thing, where Twisted Sister were going to play again. And unfortunately, Dee Snider had to retire. He's pulled out of the gigs because it's on doctor's orders, I believe. You know, they said you know, it's not a good idea, basically. And, you know, according to this here, he says, I would have been a shadow of my former self anyway. And I was reading that his family was saying, you know, why are you doing this? You got nothing to prove. You know, don't bother, you know. And I've met Dee Snider. I met him backstage at Bloodstock. KK Downing got me down on the guest list, and I went to Bloodstock and I got backstage and I met Dee Snider, and I remember I got a fond memory of him strutting from the dressing room backstage like to the stage, or like leaving the backstage because I couldn't see the stage, you know, particularly, but he was leaving to go onto the stage, and I could just see him walking through, and he kind of got in the zone. He was strutting backstage, ready to get on, you know, just kind of strutting through the backstage, and everyone was looking at him. Everyone was kind of turning their neck around, like, oh, there's Dee Snider. And yeah, he was very rock star, very kind of rock star. He had that vibe, you know. He was in a cool kind of mood. He's kind of, I guess he was psyching up for his performance, and that wasn't with Twisted Sister. Actually, he was performing just solo. But yeah, I spent a lot of time backstage because I thought, you know, when am I ever going to get backstage at Bloodstock? I thought this could be crazy. You don't know who you're going to bump into. And yeah, I bumped into Danny Filth, and obviously KK was there, and Ross the Boss. It was when he was playing with Ross the Boss. So I got to see Ross the Boss and meet him and meet KK and tell them how good the show was, kind of thing. They did a great performance together. Yeah, I was backstage, so I missed a lot of the actual performances. I didn't get to see Dee Snider because I kind of was thinking, well, it'd be cool to see who I can actually meet on backstage. This doesn't happen often, you know. It's a pretty surreal experience, but to be honest, it was very boring. Backstage was very boring. It wasn't very rock and roll. I think people are kind of not very rock and roll these days, you know. They're not all smoking out the back and drinking, and, you know. It's not one big party, so, you know, they're having their little chai lattes and raisin bran before they go on the stage, you know. So yeah, it wasn't very rock and roll, but that was kind of something cool to see how uncool it is backstage. The coolest thing is when you're on stage and you're that persona and the fans are there. You know, it was great leaving the backstage actually and being with the real fans, and I thought, this is what it's all about. This is the realness, you know. Backstage was just, to me, it felt very fake, you know. Not KK and stuff, he was cool, he's always cool. And Ross the Boss, you could see they really loved what they do, and, you know, they're the real deal. But there was a lot of people backstage where it was just like, they weren't very friendly, and they were just kind of, just weird, kind of offish people I found backstage, and all very business, all very kind of, you know, yeah, just boring. So it was kind of weird. That was a weird thing to experience, how boring rock stars actually are. So it's kind of better to keep it in your mind, keep your kind of you know, imagination going, is what I say, you know. Yeah, but anyway, back to Dee Snider. Yeah, sad that he can't continue, but he is going to be continuing, or not him so much, but Twisted Sister are going to be continuing with, I think, some of the shows at least. I don't know about all the shows, but with Sebastian Bach on vocals instead. Sebastian is Skid Row, of course, and he's, from what I've read, he seems totally thrilled and like honoured that he's got this opportunity to sing for Twisted Sister, you know, for these final shows. So that's very cool. I think that'd be great. I know I'd much rather see Dee Snider, but it's not going to happen, and I'm sure the fans obviously would as well. But at least they're doing something. At least they're doing some kind of celebration, and I'm sure it'd be great. You know, he's a great singer, Sebastian, and, you know, I mean, to me, it's a bit of a weird choice. I wouldn't have ever jumped to Sebastian, you know, to sing for Twisted Sister. I think they got pretty different voices, but it'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how he tackles these songs, and I think he's got the right energy. You know, I can see he's definitely got the energy, this kind of needed, you know, for Twisted Sister. D is always, you know, just full of energy, jumping around. I was reading he had a hip replacement, so all that jumping around, you know, it's taking his toll, you know. But yeah, it's sad. All the rock stars are getting older, but, you know, I think he did the right choice stepping down. You know, it's sometimes you've got nothing to prove, and, you know, it's all ego. So, you know, sometimes it's good to put the ego to bed. I was reading recently as well, before Ozzy died, I think Jack Osbourne was speaking about it. Ozzy was saying, oh, I think I'll cut my hair. I'm not a rock star anymore. Which is pretty sad, isn't it? It's kind of, yeah, that was, I think Ozzy had that long hair all his life pretty much, well, apart from a few periods where he shaved it all off. But, you know, he wanted to be the rock star. He was a rock star, you know. But yeah, kind of maybe part of him wanted short hair, you know, but he never, he kind of couldn't do it. He knew he couldn't do it, but once he thought he was retiring, he was ready to shave his hair and stuff and just be a normal guy. And it's really sad that Ozzy didn't get that opportunity to do that. But in the same time, he died Ozzy Osbourne. He died the legend that he was, and he died on a high with the high of doing that final show. You know, a true high, a true elated, great feeling, which he must have been really proud of. And, you know, it was like a living wake, you know, where he got to see everyone. And, you know, I was chatting with a friend over here in Mexico, because I'm out here in Mexico these days, who he wasn't too big on the show, though, because he would have rather see Jake E. Lee whoever, you know, original band members performing, you know, instead of, you know, Zach Wild all the time and all that kind of stuff. But still, I think it was a great show. I don't think any of the bands really did him much justice, you know. I always say Ozzy is just impossible to cover, you know, and I think they really showcased that. But they all gave it a good shot singing his songs, but Ozzy stole the show, obviously, with his set of original songs and Black Sabbath. It was a great way to go, and I agree, it would have been nice to see some of his original band members who kind of made those songs so, you know, so important, so significant. But they kind of went for a more, you know, newer kind of band sort of thing. I mean, Zach Wild's been with him for years, but, you know, there were a lot of other band members who didn't really get to show their face as much, which, you know, it does seem the case. But at least a lot of his old friends and from other bands and stuff, Anthrax, Metallica. First time he met Axl Rose, apparently. It's just crazy. How has he never met Axl Rose, you know? But yeah, that was it. Axl was there to meet him as well at his final show. And yeah, what a way to go, you know. But yeah, such a sad loss. Can't believe Ozzy went so quick, but thank God he held on for that. He must have been just really psyched up for that. I think it says a lot. I think if you've got goals in your life and you've got things to reach for, it does keep you alive. It keeps you going, you know. A lot of these people give up when they get old and, you know, submit themselves to old age. But yeah, it's not the way to be, you know. If you can stay young in your mind, stay young and have goals, and, you know, Ozzy's kind of testament to that, you know, especially with all the craziness he's done over the years. He's still lived to a pretty ripe age, you know. So yeah, fair play to Ozzy. We nod our cap to Ozzy, and like I said, it's just sad to see all these rock stars kind of dropping off now. We've lost Lemmy, Ozzy. You know, those two really are the true rock stars, aren't they? Even the ones who are left, I don't think are quite on the level of rock star. You know, there's some great singers, some great legends. Maybe Alice Cooper. Actually, I'd probably put him up there with them. Just about, you know, he's a different kind of performer. But I guess Alice has a persona off stage, though, which is kind of nice to see that he's not always rock star. But Lemmy and Ozzy, I think they were always rock star. They just were a rock star. There's not anyone else I can think of who isn't a persona, you know. Axl Rose, Rob Halford, you know, Dee Snider. I think all these people, and they are legends, they are rock stars, they are legends, but I mean the truest sense of the word. I can only think of Ozzy and Lemmy, who lived it and seemed on stage and off stage, just their persona was so real, so true. And, you know, yeah, I can't really think of anyone else. Maybe Bon Scott, he seemed the real deal. But yeah, obviously, that's the funny thing I guess people don't talk about, but, you know, some rock stars play the part of being a rock star, and some really are a rock star in their heart, you know, and they don't have to try or put on any persona, you know. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. That was something that don't really get talked about, you know. But on that note of Sebastian singing for Twisted Sister, let's play a bit of Skid Row with I Remember You.
Cry, they call my name. And when you're out of me, washed away a dream of you, but nothing else could ever take you away. 'Cause you'll always be my dream come true. Woman, darling, I love you. Remember yesterday, walking hand in hand, not that I seem to stress. I remember you through the sleepless nights, through every endless day. I wanna be saved. I remember you. Remember yesterday, walking hand in hand, love that I seem to stress. I remember you through all the sleepless nights, through every endless day. I wanna be saved. I remember.
And there we have a bit of I Remember You. Beautiful song there. And you can definitely hear the Rob Halford influence. Sebastian's always said how big a Priest fan he is, you know. And yeah, talking to Rob Halford, we're coming up to the end of this hour, but we got a whole other hour coming. And I'm going to play a bit of the Rob Halford fight period with the great Russ Parrish on guitar, JJ Brown on bass, Scott Travis on drums, and Brian Teals on the other guitar. And yeah, fantastic song. I think you'll know it. It's one of the kind of big songs they had, and it's Nailed to the Gun.
Striking terror into every soul. Come
we go, nail to the gun.
I love how gravelly Rob Halford's voice is on that, you know, showing a different side to his voice. He is the man of many voices. My personal inspiration. I love his vocal style, you know. I try and do a bit of the screaming and stuff myself, and I just love that kind of voice, you know. It's a really powerful kind of powerhouse voice, you know, and so much great high notes, great pitch. That one's a bit more lower. When he does it live, he screams a bit more on it, I think. But yeah, such a great song and shows the rawness of Fight, you know. That's what I really love with Fight, that kind of raw energy. And they were kind of the real deal, you know. They were only around a few years, but for that few years, they kind of left their mark, you know. I love that stuff. And I've collaborated with JJ Brown, the bass player, and the one who does some great growl vocals in the background of this, the backing vocals. I've done a few collaborations where he growls and stuff on my songs, and we've done a cover of Immortal Sin by Fight and Devil's Child. We did our own version of Devil's Child, and he did some great devilish kind of vocals on my song Devil in Disguise. So yeah, honoured to have worked with JJ, a great player, and you know, you can hear him loudly on this stuff. You know, he really was a big part of that sound, you know, a huge part of the Fight sound. So yeah, really cool to have collaborated with him. And I've got a lots more stuff coming up now in the second hour. So yeah, keep here, stay with me for the second hour. We got lots more great music and lots more great metal stories. And yeah, stick with me, guys. I'm still here and here for another hour to celebrate heavy metal together. You know, there's not many stations celebrating the metal, as I always remind you. So you know, it's great to be here to do that, and you know, every week to be able to fly the flag for metal for you guys. So yeah, stay tuned for the second hour of the Metal Matt Show.
Hey, this is Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
I know of so many people in the industry, so many bands, management companies, including our manager as well, you know, that do so much for charity. So a lot of good comes from what we do also.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to hear, because it's something people don't really know. So
No, it's just stuff that we do. We don't, you know, never tell people unless we kind of get, it comes up, you know. Yeah.
That's really nice. So when it comes to the touring, you hear from a lot of different musicians. Some people hate touring, some people really love it. What was your personal experience, and did you enjoy touring?
There was times when it was, well, there were decades when it was great, you know. Towards the end, it got a little bit it got harder towards, you know, the end. It kind of, because things had changed, you know. But yeah, loads of fun, really. It was great to see the world, wasn't it? It really was, you know. You know, but I say towards the end, we would kind of play the same cities that we've been to many times, you know. But I think the last tour I did, I got to go to Colombia, which was great, and Korea, which was great. New territory, it's exciting. Yeah.
Is that kind of probably the biggest buzz, going somewhere different, like somewhere you've never been?
It did. I mean, to begin with, everywhere was new, wasn't it? Yeah. Whether it was Little Rock, Arkansas, or Biloxi, Mississippi, or whether it was New York, everything was new. Yeah. So we were just like, you know,
overwhelmed, I guess.
Kids in a candy store. It was like it was a big adventure. Seriously, big adventure. You know, I always had a saying: the older we get, the younger we've got to play. You know, and that's how I felt about it. Yeah. But it wasn't really happening.
No. Do you think a lot of bands should take on that thing, like these bands who keep going? And I won't name names, but a lot of these metal bands it's a new tour, and you kind of hear that they're not really wanting to do it. You know that it's like, this is the last tour, and then something makes them do another last tour. Like, do you think they should just, if they're going to do a last tour, that's it? Or do you think flog it out to death or not?
Well, it's like anything else. I mean, we heard that, you know, Sabbath did their, you know, it was the final thing, but Ozzy's going out again with Priest supporting. That's going to be a good ticket, you know. That's going to be a good ticket. So, you know, never say never, never say die. What can I say? Is that a song title? Because it's hard to think of song titles these days. You know, we've heard never say never, and we've heard never say die, but never say never, never say die combined. I can almost see it in my head now. Like I say, I don't know if I tell the story in the book. I mean, when we were out there with Pantera, and those guys were so funny. We had such a good time. But we couldn't work out quite why they used to form a queue outside of our dressing room every night, you know, and they were queuing up waiting for some beers, really, you know. Can we hand out some beers, you know? It was funny, though. They would unashamedly form this queue. It was kind of funny. It was funny. I was thinking, oh, God, they're out there again.